Welcome to the Asheville View. I'm your host, Aisha Adams, and today I have our community member, Vic Isley, who is the CEO and President of Explore Asheville. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Aisha.
I'm excited to have you here. I read a lot about you, and I've worked on a couple of projects with you, but I'm excited to get the opportunity to sit down and to talk a little bit more about you. So I want to start with, can you share a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and how did you get into tourism?
Happy to. So I grew up here in North Carolina in the middle of the state in Rockingham County, down a dirt road on a tobacco farm.
Wow.
So I know hard work. Grew up down that dirt road, learned hard work on the tobacco farm, and then I wanted to go to school at Chapel Hill. My dad ended up first in his family to graduate from college from NC State. So he said, I'm never writing a check to Chapel Hill, and he never did. So I put myself through school with scholarships, working in travel and hospitality. So my first jobs making money off the tobacco farm were in restaurants. So that's where I learned about my love of food and food culture and loving being in Chapel Hill.
Wow, so your current role seems somewhat controversial. I wanted to offer you a mimosa this morning, but I wasn't sure how the world would handle it. So I just want to ask, what's your favorite drink?
Well, you're very close because bubbles is it. So I'll take the bubbles minus the OJ.
So champagne, basically.
Yes.
That's it. I love it. Luxury taste. Can you please explain the role? What exactly does the president and CEO of Explore Asheville do exactly?
Yeah, well, going back for a moment about your question about how did I get into tourism, made my way through university in hospitality, specifically restaurants, but also in marketing. So I sold advertising for the Daily Tar Heel, the newspaper at Chapel Hill, and had marketing jobs in internships. So that's how I learned about selling advertising and telling a story. And so graduating from college, my first job out was in selling advertising for what was the Triangle Pointer at the time, which is a regional visitor's guide in Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And going in and talking to locally owned businesses about how visitors coming through their front doors and spending money, net new money into the community, helps sustain their businesses. And that's how I learned about Visit NC, which is the state tourism office here in North Carolina, and on and on. I think many people, like myself when I was in university, I had no idea my job existed. And now there are graduate programs at universities about tourism and how important that role is in the GDP of our community here locally, in our country, and around the world.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never really thought of myself as a tourist until learning more about Explore Asheville, and now I'm learning about my own tourist habits and how I bring tourism to Asheville, as well as how I tour other places, and how I am a tourist in other places.
What I love about my job and about travel and hospitality is that travel doesn't happen unless we as humans want to go explore other places, people, and cultures. And it also doesn't happen if they're not humans in that community to deliver that experience, whether it is a chef in the kitchen, whether it's a server at your table, whether it's the tour guide at Flying Bike or Hood Huggers. Those are all people who are helping shape the story and experience of our community. And that's why Mark Twain says that that's what travel's role is in improving us as humans.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that.
When we think about what our role is in the community, so by state statute, almost every county in North Carolina has a tourism office. And so our job is to inspire people to get in their hearts and minds through marketing and storytelling, to get them to choose Asheville and to walk through the front door of businesses here and spend their money to help sustain the livelihoods of businesses here and employees here. Then go back home, but come back soon. And so thinking about how we go about doing that work for our community, as you know, we have 4 strategic imperatives. that ladder up to broader community goals. So delivering balanced and sustainable growth, encouraging safe and responsible travel, engaging and inviting more diverse audiences, and promoting and supporting Asheville's creative spirit. So when we go about doing that work successfully for our community, that's incentivizing us to do that work well. So thinking about delivering balanced and sustainable growth. That is looking at leisure travel as well as business travel, so not only focusing on getting people here in the weekends, when we know we have a lot of people coming in to enjoy our community and the assets that are here, but also focusing on business or conferences and events that are Sunday through Thursday business, so that dispersal of visitors in our community. Or thinking about not just focusing on downtown, but creating videos about Black Mountain and Weaverville and Candler, so that visitors are exploring those parts of our community and spending their money there. So those are the kinds of benefits and incentives that we have as a team that are ultimately benefiting our community at large.
I love that. So we had about 12 million visitors in 2021, I believe. And a lot of people worry that's a lot of people on our roads. Talk about the work that the Explore Asheville is doing around infrastructure for me.
Sure. So I think it's really important to break down that number of 12 million, because on the face of it, it does sound like a lot. But living here in Western North Carolina, those visitors are people who are day trip visitors. Mm-hmm. So about 2/3 of those are day trip visitors. And then about 4 million of those are overnight guests that are staying in hotels or vacation rentals or bed and breakfast. So a visitor, day trip visitor, is defined as a visitor that is coming from 50 miles or more. And as we well know, when you're at Trader Joe's on Merriman Avenue on the weekends, you're seeing Tennessee plates because they're coming over the mountain to actually do their shopping, their cultural entertainment. So it's a lot of, or healthcare. Mm-hmm. So those regional visitors count in that 12 million number.
Right.
So those 4 million visitors that stay overnight make up 2/3 of the spending. So 1/3 of the volume makes up 2/3 of the spending.
Wow.
And so that's a quality visit. Going back to that first thing about delivering balanced and sustainable growth is thinking about the quality of the visit, which is the monetary or economic return for our local businesses, and it's the quality of the experience that that visitor is having so that they'll want to come back.
So we also know that tourism brought in about, I think it was like $2.6 billion, right? And I'm wondering, can you break down for residents like small business owners, kids and the elderly, like how does this money that kind of comes in through tourism affect our local community as a whole?
So in 2022, visitors spent nearly $3 billion in local businesses. Mm-hmm. What's really important to note about that, going back to that overnight guest and day trip guest, is that almost 70% of what visitors spend here in Buncombe County is outside of a lodging business. Wow. So the most beneficiaries from that are restaurants, food and beverage, our breweries, recreation and entertainment, shopping, so all of the independent retail and shops that we have here, artists, like the artists here in the River Arts District, that's definitely sustaining livelihoods here.
Wow, that's amazing. What do you wish other people knew about your job?
That's a great question. I think it's really important to have conversations as humans. One of the things that I've learned here is about perspective, and two things can be true at the same time. And I think having really civil discourse about how we want to grow as a community, there is no drawbridge to pull up here. So as we are a favorable place to live and visit, how do we want to shape that together? And those are the conversations that I love. And that's why I've loved doing this work for so long, because it really is trying to take what sometimes seems like conflicting agendas and finding the and. So in my conjunction junction, what's your function world, for the younger ones won't get that, but you know, of our age on Saturday mornings of Schoolhouse Rocks, is is how do we think about having those conversations, creating more opportunities for more people to win in our community. That's a lot of the work that we've been doing in engaging and inviting more diverse audiences, is going back and being really purposeful about doing that work so that when we are advertising for diverse audiences and marketing, we're working with diverse photographers, we're working with diverse videographers. When we're buying media, it's actually media that's owned by Black or gay businesses. And then when they are here, connecting them with local businesses here. So I'll give you an example with the Black Cultural Heritage Trail that we just worked with the community on since 2018. So that work had started long before I showed up on the scene. Yeah. But we were here at Black Wall Street dedicating that trail. We had a reporter from Bloomberg come in to cover that. And while she was here, she was talking with committee members, elders in our community that helped shape those stories and create that content for the trail. And then we went to grind and bought coffee at that Black-owned business. And that's really how purposeful the team is in doing their work every day for this community.
Yeah, I got to work with you all on that project, and you called in caterers for every meeting, and you used like a Black designer for the plaques, and you really we spent weeks listening to stories from the community. It was really an awesome, eye-opening experience to be a part of the trail, for sure.
For me too, and I think what's really important about that is that it continues. And I heard an elder in the community say that how many folks he's taken to parts of the trail himself, and that people that are natives here and grown up here don't know these stories. So that trail is just as much for our community as it is for guests and visitors to the community.
Yeah, that's amazing. What initiatives are you all excited about over there that we can be excited about in community?
Just last week, the Tourism Development Authority Board approved almost $10 million in infrastructure projects for our community through the new Legacy Investment from Tourism Fund. So it's 12 projects, including this building here with Black Wall Street, and being able to bring more events to the River Arts District. It also included $4 million for Buncombe County's Ferry Road Affordable Housing Project.
Nice.
It's really exciting for greenways and trails to have an affordable housing project and mixed-use development project in our community that's going to have quality of life amenities is fantastic, and we were proud to partner in that. The city received almost $3 million for Cox Avenue's streetscaping or placemaking. So thinking about walkable streets downtown, engaging environments, how can we be partners in that? Also, Hood Huggers International got a grant for their Blue Note Junction project in the Burton Street area, as well as some family-friendly experiences like the Asheville Museum of Science, and a new project that is on the horizon that's similar to Meow Wolf that's called Supernova.
Nice. So lots of good things coming out of your office.
Lots of good things on infrastructure. So that's destination management side of things. Mm-hmm. A lot of what the team focuses on and the community focuses on is the destination marketing side. But when both of those things work together, it's really exciting. And that's this weekend. We have a press trip coming in that will be for Black journalists coming in to experience the trail. And then also we've invested in the YMI Cultural Center in the block, and that's set to reopen after renovation this summer. So our business development team will also be working with the YMI team and booking conferences and events into that building that will help bring even more revenue to that center.
I love it. So you know I'm a shoe girl. You know that about me?
I do.
I love shoes. So I have to ask, what kind of shoes do you wear to work and why?
Oh, this question definitely varies by destination that I've in communities that I've had the opportunity to work with. Here in Asheville, it does tend to be more boot oriented, easy walking, and for ease, I would say.
Yeah, boots are good. Boots are good.
Well, I think that there's a song about that somewhere.
Well, thank you so much for spending your morning with me. I know you have a lot to do over at the office, but it's been a pleasure to speak with you today.
Aisha, thanks for the time.
Yeah. You're watching the Asheville View, and we'll see you next time.